Hello everybody, today I have my first ever Percy Jackson video, and this is a book talk on Percy Jackson and the Olympians, The Lightning Thief. It is the first book in Rick Riordan's Percy Jackson and the Olympians series, and I'm going to start off with a nice non-spoilery section for those of you who haven't read the book yet. And I understand that isn't so many people because I'm very late to the Percy Jackson party, and then it will be followed by a spoilery section for those of you who have read the book and would like to discuss it in a bit more detail. So I really hope you enjoyed this video and carry on watching. A quick summary. Percy Jackson is a 12-year-old boy. He lives in New York with his mum and his stepdad, Smelly Gabe. He has been to a lot of schools, both boarding schools and day schools, and he has been kicked out of most of them, and he really struggles to work hard at school because of his dyslexia and ADHD. Now one day his maths teacher turns in to a weird monster-like thing, and he's like, oh my god, what is going on? And then the next day when he asks about it, no one can remember this maths teacher, and everyone's like, what are you going on about, Percy? He later discovers that he in fact isn't crazy, but he is a demigod, which is why he had dyslexia and ADHD. The ADHD was because he was meant to be on the battlefield, and the dyslexia was because his brain was hardwired for ancient Greek. So this is a world where the Greek gods are still at large, and Olympus is currently on an imaginary level of the Empire State Building. I really loved this book. I gave it 5 stars. It is told from Percy's perspective, and Percy is a lovely perspective. Do not be put off by the fact that it is narrated by a 12-year-old boy, because he is a lovely 12-year-old boy. He's very witty and sweet, and I just love him. Another of our main characters is Annabeth, and I really loved that we had a blonde character who was clever, and I also loved that we had a clever character who also had dyslexia, because in a lot of stories, if a character has dyslexia, they would let that make them less intelligent, but Annabeth is still considered to be one of the cleverest people they know, and she doesn't let that dyslexia stop them. And then we have Grover, Percy's a friend from school, who's actually half goat, but he's really nice. I did think he was sort of a little bit pathetic, but this did leave a lot of room for some really great character development. I absolutely adored the world. The Greek mythology was so interesting, and something I didn't know that a lot about because it's not really on the English school curriculum, funnily enough. But I found it so interesting, and once I've finished with Percy's world, I will definitely move on to some other mythology books. So let's talk about Luke. I really liked Luke to start with. After Percy was claimed by Poseidon, everyone was sort of scared of him. Even Annabeth was a little bit sort of cold towards him, but I always felt like that Luke was the only person who didn't sort of like stray away from Percy. You know, he kept on his sword fighting lessons and was still like a friend to him, basically. So I really liked Luke, and I thought it was so sweet when he gave him the flying shoes and Percy didn't have the heart to tell him that he couldn't use them. I thought that was so cute. So I was a tiny bit upset when it turned out he's a villain, but then after thinking about it for a while, I was like, okay, I'm kind of cool with that, because I usually like the villain more. Draco wasn't a villain. I Don't know why everyone says he was. And the Luke thing was a tad bit predictable. Like, seriously, the Oracle said it was going to be one of your friends that betrayed you. It's like, a lot of people have said this, that it was quite predictable. I already knew because I'd seen the film. God, the film is so awful. Do not watch the film. It will ruin everything. You're just like crying the whole way through, not because it's sad, because it's awful. Anyway, a lot of people say that the Luke thing was quite predictable because, well, the Oracle said that it would be one of his friends who betrayed him. Percy, you don't have that many friends. Sorry to break it to you. So it was never really gonna be Annabeth. I guess that was a possibility, but we'd gotten to know her so well and know that she was on Percy's side. It really was never gonna be Grover. Like, I couldn't even contemplate Grover being a traitor. It just doesn't work. And then who do we have left? Luke, your only other friend. Yeah, it's gonna be a mum that betrays everyone. Definitely Percy's mum. So, tad bit predictable there. Maybe Percy could have had a couple more friends, but then again, too many characters can ruin a story, I often find. Not with Game of Thrones, interestingly. So now on to the spoilery section. So if you have not read Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief by Rick Riordan, I would leave now. So everyone here has read the book. Yeah, this book. Great. I do really hate to spoil it for anyone. Things that I loved. Number 1, Percy was the son of Poseidon. I think a lot of people predicted he would be the son of Zeus. I mean, it seems pretty obvious, really. You know, he's named after one of Zeus's sons, you know, Perseus. Talia was Zeus's daughter. Usually the main character is more powerful than everyone else, and Zeus would be the most powerful of the big three. The big three being Zeus, Poseidon and Hades. But no, he made it a little bit more interesting and had Percy be the son of the sea god, which I really liked. I also loved that Rick Riordan, he took this very traditional idea of the Greek gods and he very much modernised it. You know, Zeus was wearing a pinstriped suit and, you know, they weren't sitting on thrones made of awesome with like guardian angels and like unicorns circling around them, you know, up in Olympus where everything's pure white. You know, Ares was a biker dude. He made them sort of normal, which I really liked, because you know, they had that whole thing about how Olympus moves as the Western civilization moves, and I guess the gods sort of have to move with them. So I really loved that. So just so you know, I'm already shipping Perciveth. I hear there's some other girl called Rachel introduced later in the series. No, definitely gonna be Annabeth. Always gonna be Annabeth. Ship them very hard. And I'm sure I will ship them harder as they become more and more in love with each other. They're already in love. I hope you know that. So, big Perciveth shipper over here. So, I really loved this book. And I loved how it wasn't quite what I expected it to be. And yeah, I know you've all read it, but if you're one of those weird people who just like watches the spoilery reviews and you haven't read it, then read it. It's definitely worth it. I am currently about halfway through, I'd say. Percy Jackson and the Olympians, The Sea of Monsters, and I'm really enjoying it. And I've only seen the trailer for the Sea of Monsters film so far, and I can tell how different it is. Like, in the trailer for the film, what on earth is Grover doing at Camp Half-Blood? No, that's like a big plot point as well. So I hope that you very much enjoyed this book talk. I will have another one up for Sea of Monsters in the course of about 3 days maybe. Don't know when I'll finish it. But yeah, I shall see everybody later. Goodbye.